press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hi everyone, welcome you all for Grand Test 4 discussion. That's nothing but KCT Grand Test 4. So as usual again we have 30 questions from botany. So let us begin with the first question from Grand Test paper 4. Well, so the question is, which of the following there is no mention in Whittaker's classification? You know that R.H. Whittaker, who gave the 5 kingdom classification, that's starting with Monera, then Protista, then fungi, then Plantae and Animalia. Of course, he established the 5th kingdom, that's nothing but the fungi. But however, certain organisms, they are not included in 5 kingdom classification. So, what are those organisms? So, options you have virus, lichens, viroids, all of these. So, let us see what exactly is 5 kingdom classification. R.H. Whittaker, scientist who actually gave us the 5 kingdom classification. So, what are those 5 kingdoms? Of course, some kingdoms were already established, but however, he reconsidered to classify entire living organisms. Hence, we said that he proposed 5 kingdom classification. The most basic or primitive type is kingdom Monera, which includes all prokaryotes. All prokaryotes. Okay. So then comes kingdom Protista. Protista includes all unicellular eukaryotes. Prokaryotes by default always they are unicellular. There is no question of multicellular prokaryotic. There may be grouping of these bacteria to form a colonies, but always prokaryotes are nothing but they definitely by default they are unicellular. But eukaryotes may be unicellular or multicellular. All those unicellular eukaryotes are grouped into the kingdom Protista. Next comes the multicellular, most heterotrophic, diversified type of organisms, which include what we call it as fungi. This include multicellular heterotrophic diversified organism with a diversity. Well, next is the kingdom Plantae. What is kingdom Plantae included? This included, of course, they are multicellular, included autotrophic chlorophyll containing eukaryotes. Then kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia included, of course, they are multicellular, okay, and then they are heterotrophic holozoic mode of nutrition. Of course, there are other parameters or the properties which differ from each one. In general, what we need to remember, there are 2 domains, that is prokaryote and eukaryote. The entire prokaryote is taken into one kingdom, that is Monera. Remaining, the eukaryotes are grouped into 4 kingdoms. All the prokaryotes into single kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. All the eukaryotes are divided further, they are grouped into 4 kingdoms. Again, in that, unicellular eukaryotes are into Protista and multicellular eukaryotes are into fungi, Plantae and Animalia. However, this five kingdom classification this did not include certain structures or organisms, I can say, such as virus, viroids, and lichens. So all these three, sometimes we consider them organism, sometimes we may not. All these three are not included in the five kingdom classification. The reason is the viruses, they behave like living as well as non-living. When they're outside the host, they are non-living. When they enter into the host, they start metabolizing. So for this reason, there is one particular reason that we can say they are neither living nor non-living. And they don't have cellular structure. They are acellular. Acellular. So what they consist? They are made up of the protein coat and the DNA or RNA as genetic material. Then what are these viroids? Viroids are the infectious RNA. Infectious RNA without protein coat. Without coat or capsid, I can say. Now what are lichens then? These lichens are they are the symbiotic association between symbiotically association between fungi and algae. They are symbiotically associated between fungi and algae. So let me erase this so that it will be clear for you. So viruses are acellular, even the viroids are acellular. They don't have cellular structure. And moreover, both are non-living outside the host and they become active, living in the sense they metabolize, they start multiplying inside the host cell. So for these two main reasons, as they are neither living, non-living, or they are acellular, they cannot be grouped into the five kingdoms which are actually designed or meant for living organisms. Whereas lichens, they are the symbiotic association. They have fungi as well as algae, symbiotically associated. So neither we can group it as into fungal kingdom or the mycota or into the plantae. So hence they are not taken into any of the kingdom. So answer should be which of the following organisms not mentioned in Whittaker system: virus, lichens, viroids. So answer should be all of these. So all of these are not included into any of the kingdom. Okay, next, moving on to question number 2. Mosses are attached to the substratum by main axis, capsule, rhizoids, roots. Well, you know that again in the plant kingdom we have the divisions such as algae, bryophytes, pteridophyte, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Under bryophytes, we have studied like two groups from the textbook, that is mosses, which are most primitive among the other bryophytes, and the liverworts. These mosses, the main plant body is gametophyte. Main plant body is thalloid and gametophyte. Main plant body is thalloid. What does it mean by thalloid? The plant body is not well differentiated into structures such as roots, stem or the leaves. But however, they have root-like structures. They have root-like structures which are called rhizoids, through which they are attached to the surface or the substratum. So mosses are attached to the substratum by the root-like structure rhizoids. They are not well differentiated. They're root-like, not exactly roots, because they don't have like tissue arrangement, etc. Right. So main axis, no, they don't have main axis. First of all, it's a thalloid, flat structure. Dorsiventrally flattened. Capsule, no. Then rhizoids is the right answer. Root obviously don't have roots. So answer should be rhizoids. Okay, question number 3. Flowers are zygomorphic in datura, mustard, tomato, gulmohar. So they have mentioned some examples in the option, name of the plants. So we need to find out which of the plant exhibit zygomorphic flower. See, the concept is called symmetry of flower. Symmetry of flower. So we have 3 types basically, that is actinomorphic, which can be also called as radial symmetry, then zygomorphic, which is also called as bilateral symmetry, and one more we have asymmetrical. So symmetry of the flower, when we look up the flower from the top, whether there is a symmetry and what type of symmetry is there. So if you are able to cut the flower into 2 equal halves in any plane, that is like horizontally, vertically or diagonally. Horizontally cut ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು equal halves ಸಿಗಬೇಕು, vertically cut ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು equal halves ಸಿಗಬೇಕು, diagonal cut ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು equal halves ಸಿಗಬೇಕು. So in such case, such type of flowers are said to be actinomorphic or radial symmetry, and the symbol can be like this. For this, the examples are the China rose, mustard, brinjal. What example mentioned? Tomato. So all these exhibit actinomorphic or the radial symmetry. Zygomorphic or bilateral symmetry. That means you can get equal halves when you cut the flower only in one axis or one plane, any one plane. So either it may be vertical or it may be horizontal or it may be diagonal. So such flowers are said to be zygomorphic or bilateral symmetry, and the example for this is gulmohar. Gulmohar, colloquially at a certain vernacular name, what we call it as, it is also called as Mayflower. Mayflower is also referred as Mayflower, and the scientific name is Delonix regia. Mayflower. So that's what I think we are coming across this example for the second time. Gulmohar or the Mayflower. This is the example for zygomorphic. That means ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಫ್ಲವರ್ ನ ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಹಾಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. So you might have observed at the road side there will be certain plants which will be planted. So during the May, June, July month, you can see some orange reddish color flowers. So you can just whenever it is possible take the flower and just observe. So there will be zygomorphic or the bilateral symmetry of flower you can experience. Okay, asymmetrical. What do you mean by asymmetrical? You cannot have equal halves when you cut the flower in any axis. There is no possibility of getting equal halves in any of the axis. Horizontally, no possibility of getting equal halves. Vertically, no possibility, as well as diagonally also, there is no possibility. So, there is no possibility of getting equal halves, that is called asymmetrical. And example is Cana indica. So, the plant looks like the banana plant. So, it will be long, almost they are also orange reddish color flower. You can just, they are also used for the decorative purposes or gardening. So, that's called the Cana indica, wherein you can see asymmetrical type of the symmetry. So, for this question, flowers are zygomorphic in Datura shows actinomorphic condition, mustard shows actinomorphic, tomato shows actinomorphic. Gul Moher is the right answer for the question. Okay. Question number 4. Trichomes are bicellular, acellular, multicellular, unicellular. Simple question. So, in anatomy, you come across like a epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system, and vascular tissue system. Say, in stems, in stem, some of epidermal hairs are modified into hair-like structure called trichomes. We call them as stem hairs. See, some of these epidermal cells they are modified to form hair-like structure. They are referred as trichomes. So, these trichomes are made up of multiple cells, hence they are multicellular. Similarly, in root also, the epidermal cells are elongated to form hair-like structure. So, in root, they are called root hairs, and root hairs are unicellular. So, for the question, trichomes are bicellular, no, acellular, no, multicellular, exactly, they are multiple, they are made up of multiple cells, unicellular. It's not trichome, but you can say in case of roots, they are unicellular. Root hairs are unicellular, stem hairs, nothing but trichomes are multicellular. Okay, question number 5. Out of the following groups of organisms, how many are prokaryotic? So, you have to find out how many are prokaryotic. Fungi, protista, algae, mycoplasma, blue-green algae. So, they have mentioned 4 organisms there. Out of them, how many are prokaryotic? So, prokaryotes are the organisms which lack nuclear membrane and other cell organelles. Of course, unicellular. And just now, in the first question itself, we have discussed the 5 kingdoms. The entire, all prokaryotic organisms are grouped into one particular kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. So, kingdom fungi, it is kingdom of eukaryotic cells, kingdom fungi. In option you have fungi, this is eukaryotic. Next, protista. This is also kingdom for unicellular eukaryotes. Then what you have? Mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is a bacterium without cell wall. This is the only bacteria without cell wall. right? And then the blue-green algae. This is nothing but the cyanobacteria. Which is into prokaryotes. So these two are prokaryotes. That means in kingdom Monera, what it includes? All the prokaryotes. So these may be archaebacteria, eubacteria, or cyanobacteria, and also includes mycoplasma. So out of the following, how many are prokaryotic? So mycoplasma is prokaryote, blue-green algae prokaryote. So this is eukaryote, fungi is eukaryote, and protist is also eukaryote. So how many means 2? 2 is the answer here. Okay, question number 6. Yeast cell can progress through the cell cycle in about 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes, 90 minutes. It's a question from a straight line from the textbook. Yeast cell multiply within about 90 minutes, whereas the human cells under culture, they require 24 hours. This is the direct statement what we can check from the textbook. So yeast cell, they take 90 minutes to complete the cell cycle, which includes the intraphase as well as M phase. Okay, question number 7. Who indicated first that water is hydrogen donor in photosynthesis? So the early experiments include various experiments. So one of the experiment is, see, we have carbon dioxide as raw material and even water as raw material. So in the presence of sunlight, C6H12O6, nothing but glucose is produced along with the byproduct as oxygen. So now the question here is, if when you look at the raw materials such as CO2 and H2O, immediately anyone can say that whatever the O2 is produced during photosynthesis, it may be from carbon dioxide. But the fact is that it is not the the oxygen is not evolved from the splitting of carbon dioxide, it is evolved from the water. Of course, from single water molecule, atomic oxygen will be released. When water is split, you will be getting 2 hydrogen molecules, and we say half O2, because as atomic oxygen does not exist, we say half O2. So to produce 1 molecular oxygen, you require 2 molecules of water, and 4 hydrogens will be produced, and you can say 1 molecular oxygen is produced. And how is this proved? And this was proved by using the purple bacteria, purple sulfur utilizing bacteria. Wherein water, instead of water as a hydrogen source, hydrogen sulfide was used. So in this experiment, CO2 was provided, H2S was provided, and in the byproduct, of course, the C6H12O6 is produced, but oxygen is not evolved. There was a release of sulfur oxides. So that means if actually CO2 is the donor, the molecule responsible for generation of the oxygen, here also it would have been generated. Oxygen would have been released, but it did not happen. There was no release of oxygen in this case, as H2O was not used, water was not used. Hence, it was proved that actually water is the molecule which is actually involved in releasing of oxygen. So this was proved by Van Niel. Scientist by name Van Niel. So answer should be Van Niel. Let us see what are the other options here. Calvin, you know that Melvin Calvin who gave that C3 cycle or the Calvin cycle. Then Ernon, it's Amon agide, Ernon, Arnon, Ernon, Daniel Ernon. Daniel Ernon, he deduced the two types of photophosphorylation, cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. And one more scientist, what is that? Blakesley. Blakesley, he is known for his research on a poisonous plant called Jimson weed plant. So he made a research on poisonous plant, Jimson weed plant. Of course, there is no mention of this scientist, name of the scientist in any of the chapter, Blakesley. But however, you should know that he worked on poisonous Jimson weed plant, and he's also had research on sexuality in fungi. He also made research on sexuality in fungi. Water splits to release O2 during photosynthesis was proved by Van Niel. And Calvin, who deduced C3 cycle. Well, what is the next question? Question number 8. First step in photosynthesis is the joining of 3 carbon atom to form glucose, ionization of water, excitement of an electron of chlorophyll by photon of light, formation of ATP. So, well, we know that photosynthesis occur in 2 phases. Photosynthesis occur in 2 phases. The first phase is light reaction. First phase itself is the light reaction. This is the first phase. What is the second phase? Second phase is the dark reaction. Again, there are many light dependent reactions in this light reaction, or the thylakoid reaction or Hill's reaction. In this, the first and foremost light dependent reaction is photoexcitation of chlorophyll. Photoexcitation of chlorophyll. Then comes photolysis of water. Photolysis of water. Then comes photophosphorylation. Photophosphorylation. Then photoreduction. Photoreduction. So light reaction only some reactions helbodu. Photo excitation of chlorophyll. That means when a photon of light falls on the chlorophyll pigment, the atomic structure of the chlorophyll pigment, the electron from the ground state gets the high energy and it gets excited to the outermost orbital. That's what we call it as photoexcitation of chlorophyll. Then photolysis of water, photophosphorylation, photoreduction. These occur after this. How can we justify this? ನೋಡಿ, ಲೈಟ್ ಬಿದ್ದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಪಾಸಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟರ್. While moving through series of electron acceptor, there will be release of certain hydrogen ions which are actually accumulated in the lumen of the thylakoid. And due to chemiosmotic movement of these hydrogen ions, there is phosphorylation, that is synthesis of ATP. Synthesis of ATP, ATP synthesis ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಗ್ರೇಡಿಯಂಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸೈಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಪಾಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಫೋಟೋಪಾಸ್ಫುಲೇಷನ್ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಆಗೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಏನು ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗುವ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೇಡಿಯಂಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದರಿಂದ ಕೆಮಿಯಾಸ್ಮಾಟಿಕಲಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ATP. ಅದನ್ನ photophosphorylation ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. At the end, whatever the electron which is excited will be accepted by the NADP, and hydrogen is also accepted from the stroma, hence the NADPH is formed. That's called photoreduction. Then why not photolysis as first reaction? See, when the light falls, the electrons present in the chlorophyll pigment from the ground state, they excite to the outermost orbital. To split water, it takes much more time. It is in 10 raised to minus 9 seconds. 10 raised to minus 9 seconds. But the time required for photolysis or ionization of water is much more than this. So that's why the first reaction, what we can say, that is excitement of an electron of chlorophyll by photon of light. Okay, so that's the answer. Joining 3 carbon atom to form glucose, no. Ionization of water, that's what photolysis of water. See, next to excitation of the chlorophyll. Formation of ATP is here. So now we are in question number 9. Which of the following is the first step in glycolysis? Simple. In the paper 3 also, I think we have discussed the detailed reactions, all the 10 reactions of the glycolysis, I think. However, the first reaction, glycolysis which occur in the cytoplasm, so in the cytoplasm, the 6 carbon glucose, the first reaction, it undergo phosphorylation. It is accepting phosphate from ATP to produce glucose 6-phosphate. This is first phosphorylation mediated by the enzyme hexokinase. Hexo refers to 6, kinase refers to enzyme which adds or removes the phosphate group, specifically glucokinase. So options: dehydrogenation of glucose, no. Breakdown of glucose, no. Phosphorylation of glucose is the right answer. That's the first phosphorylation. Conversion of glucose into fructose, no. That's the next step. So wherein glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate. So answer should be phosphorylation of glucose. Okay. Now question number 10. The copper centers are found in ubiquinol, ATP, synthetase, cytochrome BC1 and cytochrome C oxidase complex. Say the various electron carriers in the inner mitochondrial membrane. ETS is associated with the complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, complex 4, and even complex 5, what we can say. So each complex consists certain electron carriers. So here we have FMN and APS. Then cytochrome complex 2 is associated with the Krebs cycle. It also consists iron sulfur containing electron carrier. Complex 3 again it is consisting of 4 iron sulfur containing complex, and complex 4 what we call cytochrome C oxidase. Cytochrome C oxidase, this consists 2 copper centers. And 5 is nothing but F0 F1 particle, what we call ATP synthase. So cytochrome C oxidase complex 4 is having 2 copper centers here. Ubiquinol, it is the derivative of quinol. ATP synthetase is complex 5. Cytochrome BC1, that is a complex 3 associated with the cytochrome iron sulfur containing complex as well as cytochrome C. So answer should be cytochrome C oxidase. Question number 11. Which of the following improves the shape of apple? Some hormones are mentioned: GA3 gibberellic acid, C2H4 ethylene, ABA abscisic acid, NAA naphthalene acetic acid. So if you recall the functions of hormones, there is a concept called increasing internodal length. Increasing internodal length. So what? It's due to cell elongation, I can say. This is brought about by gibberellic acid, specifically GA3, what we can say, hormone gibberellin. So it's also used in various horticultural purposes such as improving the shape, elongation of the shape of the apple. We have seen some apples where they are like improved for the shape. So ಇದರನಾಗೆ elongate ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ apple shapes. Some apples you might have seen like it may be like some tomato shapes. ಈ ತರ ಇದೆ. So to improve the shape of this apple, the gibberellic acid may be used, and it's also used to increase the stalk length. To increase stalk length in grapes. ಏನು ಗ್ರೇಪ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ದ್ರಾಕ್ಷಿ ಗುಚ್ಛ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೂಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಲೆಂತ್ ವಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸ್ಪ್ರೇ ಗಿಬ್ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್. Ethylene is a fruit ripening hormone. Abscisic acid is a stress hormone, I can say, or otherwise it is not growth promoter, it is growth inhibitor. Naphthalene acetic acid is nothing but the oxide. So answer should be gibberellic acid, Ga3. Question number 12. Which of the following do not reproduce? Reproduction is the characteristic feature of all living organisms except in sterile organisms. So there are certain sterile organisms such as mule, or it may be hinny, worker honeybees, and sterile human couple, humans. So when an organism cannot reproduce, they are called impotent. That's called infertility, infertile. Infertility. Infertility is seen in mules or even the hinny. So let me explain what is mule. Mule is a sterile offspring which is produced by mating between male donkey and female horse, and hinny is the one, it is also sterile, which is produced between the male horse and a female donkey. So if there is a mating between male donkey and horse and producing an organism, that will be sterile, that's called mule. And if there is a mating between male horse and a female donkey, they also produce an organism, but they are sterile. So both mule as well as hinny are sterile, they cannot reproduce further. Worker honeybees are sterile and of course sterile human beings, the infertile or the sterile human beings, they also cannot reproduce. The answer is all of these. Question number 13. The size of the pollen grains. Again, straight question from the textbook line. The size of the pollen grain is 25 to 30 micrometers. So straight line from the textbook. Simple question. Most common abiotic pollinators are, I think in paper 3 also we have discussed like which is the most common pollinator. That's right, nothing but biotic is the most common compared to abiotic. Again, among the biotic, bees are the most common one. But here they are asking most common abiotic pollinators. Abiotic pollination generally we see in monocots. It may be through wind or water. So abiotic pollination may be through wind or water. So wind is the most common one, which is referred as anemophily. The water pollination, which is referred as hydrophily, which is limited and confined to only 32 genera. The two of monocotyledons. So most common abiotic means wind. Question number 15. Pollination occurring in closed flowers is, the closed flowers are called clistogamous flowers. Clistogamous flowers. That means flowers do not open. Do not open at all. When the flowers are not opening, whatever the stamens present as well as the pistil present, they are not exposed to the environment or any other pollen grains. So when it is enclosed, the pollen grain of the same plant is getting deposited on the stigma of the same flower, I can say, not plant. The pollen grain of the from the anther of the same flower is getting deposited on the stigma of the same flower. Hence it is self pollination or autogamy. And as it is, the flower is closed, it is also called as clistogamy. That means in case of clistogamous flower, there will be compulsory autogamy. Autogamy is mandatory. Invariably autogamous. So there is no possibility of the allogamy or the cross pollination. So compulsory, as the flower is getting closed, it's not at all opening. So obviously there will be self pollination, that's called clistogamy. You have other options like allogamy, protogyny, dicliny and all. Allogamy is nothing but it is the transfer of pollen grain from anther of one plant to the stigma of the another plant of related species. That's nothing but cross pollination. And protogyny and protandry, these are the two conditions where they are called contrivances of pollination or outbreeding devices. So contrivances for cross pollination or outbreeding devices. So wherein protogyny, that means the gynoecium is getting matured before the pollen grains are getting matured, so that it prevents self pollination. Dicline is unisexuality. So answer is clistogamous. So some example for clistogamous flowers are viola, which is commonly called as common pansy, viola oxalis and camelina. So the example mentioned in the textbook for clistogamous, viola, oxalis and camelina. These exhibit two types of flowers, chasmogamous as well as clistogamous. Chasmogamous are the one which open. Flowers open. So there will be blooming in case of chasmogamous. There will not be blooming of flower, opening of flower in case of clistogamous flower. So answer should be clistogamy. Question number 16. Filiform apparatus is a characteristic feature of, right. So in the embryo sac, if you see, there will be 7 cell 8 nucleus condition. So this is the structure of ovule. The stalk of the ovule is called funicle, and the protective layers are referred as integuments. And the integuments are discontinuous at one particular point, which is called micropyle or micropylar end, and the opposite end is called chalazal end. And the point at which the funicle and the body of the ovule is attached, it's called hilum. And this is the embryo sac, the largest cell, embryo sac. And inside this, there will be haploid cells, 3 cells at chalazal end, which are called antipodal cells. And 3 cells located at micropylar end. They are called egg apparatus. One of the cell is called egg cell, and the 2 cells which are adjacent to egg cell are called synergids. And you have the central, the secondary nuclei, or the polar nuclei. Right. So this synergids, let me magnify this. These synergids consist of finger-like structures. Consists of some finger-like structures at their base, and these structures are called filiform apparatus. They are referred as filiform apparatus. So these filiform apparatus, what they do? They guide the entry of pollen tube. Pollen tube into embryo sac. That is the function of filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus are associated with the synergids. So filiform apparatus are the characteristic feature of synergid, not zygote, egg or suspensor cells. The bases of RNA are the same as those of DNA, with the exception that RNA contains. Say the concepts will be repeating in this test, but the type of questions where the sentence formation, that will be differing. Concepts ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಒಂದು 10-20 ಪೇಪರ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ದ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್, ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್, ಈ ತರ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಕೀನ್ ಇನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So the bases of RNA are the same as those of DNA, with exception of RNA contains. As simple as what are the nitrogen bases in DNA and RNA. So in case of DNA, there will be adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymidine. In case of RNA also consists adenine, guanine, cytosine, but instead of thymidine there will be uracil. So 3 are common, that is adenine, guanine, cytosine are common for both DNA and RNA. Thymidine is found only in the DNA, uracil is found only in the RNA. That is, instead of thymine there will be uracil in the RNA. So the bases of RNA are the same as those of DNA, with exception of that RNA contains uracil instead of thymine is the answer. Simple. Okay, question number 18. Coding sequences which appear in mature RNA is. So in case of eukaryote, whatever the RNA formed immediately after a transcription, we call it as heterogeneous mRNA. So as it consists coding sequences which are referred as exon, and the coding sequences are interrupted by non-coding sequences called intron. Exon are the coding sequences, intron are non-coding sequences. So this mRNA is called heterogeneous mRNA as it consists both coding and non-coding sequence, exon and intron, heterogeneous mRNA. So where in case of eukaryotes, in case of prokaryote, there is no formation of heterogeneous mRNA. This heterogeneous mRNA has to undergo post-transcriptional modification. Now to be functional, before going for translation, it undergo post-transcriptional modification. So post-transcriptional modification include steps like capping, wherein unusual methyl guanosine triphosphate is added to the 5' end, and splicing, removal of exon and joining of intron. Sorry, removal of intron and joining of exons. And then tailing, homopolymer tailing. So wherein polyadenylation, many adenines are added, polyadenylation at 3' end. So coding sequences which appear in mature RNA, that means, so these introns are removed and the coding sequences appear in mature RNA, that are nothing but exons. So intron, it is non-coding, exon is the one which is appearing in mature RNA, splicing is the process of removal of introns, cistron is the structural gene. Question number 19. Which eukaryotic RNA polymerase makes tRNA? RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2, RNA polymerase 3, any of these. So you might recall these questions you have come across in the previous tests also. So wherein tRNA is produced from, mRNA is produced from. Here what they are asking, what we have asked, like which eukaryotic RNA polymerase makes tRNA? You come across rRNA, mRNA, now tRNA. So all the three enzymes you need to remember. So very simple. This is also again in eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, there is only a single mRNA, RNA polymerase, which produces all the. So in prokaryotes, single RNA polymerase produce all three types of RNA. But whereas in eukaryotes, three types of RNA polymerase. Eukaryotes only three types of RNA polymerase is there. Like RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2, then RNA polymerase 3. What this RNA polymerase 1 produces? It is involved in the synthesis of rRNA, that is ribosomal RNA. Polymerase 2 is involved in synthesis of messenger RNA. Polymerase 3 is involved in synthesis of tRNA. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಬೈಹ್ಯಾಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಹಿಂಟ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೋಡಿ, ನಮಗೆ 3 types RNA polymerase ಇದೆ. 3 types RNA polymerase ಇದೆ. And 3 types RNA ಇದೆ. mRNA, 3 types RNA polymerase: mRNA, tRNA, rRNA. mRNA, tRNA, rRNA. 3 types RNA polymerase, 3 types of RNA: mRNA, tRNA, rRNA. ಸೊ ಈ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಏನಂತ ಓದ್ಬೋದು ಇದನ್ನ? MTR ಅಂತ. MTR ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಿಮಗೆ ಫ್ಲಾಶ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ MTR ಮಸಾಲಾ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. MTR ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾವಳ್ಳಿ ಟಿಫಿನ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕಂಪನಿ ಹೆಸರು, ಅದು ಮಾವಳ್ಳಿ ಟಿಫಿನ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ MTR ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವೆರಿ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿ ರೆಸಿಪೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೈಸಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕುಕಿಂಗ್. ಮಸಾಲೆ ಅವು ಇವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸು. MTR ಜಾಮೂನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಗ್ರೂಪಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. MTR ಮಾವಳ್ಳಿ ಟಿಫಿನ್ ರೂಮ್ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ನೆನಪಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ನಾವು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ? ಈ ಪಾಲಿಮರೇಸ್ 1, 2, 3 ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು MTR ಅಂತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆ MTRನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಆರ್ನ ತೆಗೆದು ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. RMT. MTR ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೀವು ಬರೀವಾಗ RMT, RMT. RNA polymerase 1 produces ribosomal RNA. RNA polymerase 2 produces mRNA. RNA polymerase 3 synthesizes tRNA. So this is simple to remember. Okay, so answer should be RNA polymerase 3, not any of these. Question number 20. Which of the following used in Swiss cheese? So production of Swiss cheese, which of the organism is utilized? Options you have: streptokinase. Streptokinase is the enzyme. Monoscus purpureus, which is used in the production of statin, which is a blood cholesterol lowering agent. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is a baker's yeast used in production of bread. Propionibacterium shermani. Propionibacterium shermani is the answer. So which is used in production of Swiss cheese. The large holes produced in the Swiss cheese are due to the production of carbon dioxide. So bacterium used is Propionibacterium shermani. Propionibacterium shermani alla, shermani. Okay, so the Swiss cheese is characterized by large holes. One more additional information: large holes in the Swiss cheese are due to production of carbon dioxide. So answer is Propionibacterium shermani. Okay, next question. Aspergillus niger produce, so organic acids, different organic acids. Aspergillus niger is producing what type of organic acids? So in textbook you have 4 types of organic acids like acetic acid, butyric acid, citric acid, and lactic acid. Organic acids. Say for production of these organic acids, different organisms are used. Acetic acids are produced by bacterium Acetobacter aceti. See the name itself, in the organism itself, the name indicates acetobacter aceti, acetic acid, acetobacter aceti, butyric acid, clostridium botulicum, clostridium botulicum, acetobacter, acetoacetic, botulicum butyric, then lactic acid, lactobacilli, lactobacillus, lactobacillus lactic acid. So only for this citric acid the name varies, that is Aspergillus niger, Aspergillus niger, which is a fungi. Acetobacter aceti, bacterium, this is also bacterium, this is also bacterium. Aspergillus is a fungi. Hope you may remember to which division it belongs to. Belongs to Ascomycetes. Division Ascomycetes. So here we can remember like this. ನೋಡಿ ಆಸಿಡ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಸಿಟೋಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಸಿಟೈಪ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಸಿಟಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ರಿಡಿಯಂ ಬ್ಯುಟಿಲಿಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್, ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೋಬೆಸಿಲಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್, ಅಸ್ಪರ್ಜಿಲಸ್ ನೈಜರ್ ಸಿಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಆಲ್ಫಾಬೆಟಿಕಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ABCL 4 ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ಸ್, 4 ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್. ಯಾವ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್? 3 ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಸಿಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್. ಸಿಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಯಾವುದು? Aspergillus niger. Okay, which of the following pair is related? First one, Ganga action plan. So two types of plans, Ganga action plan and Yamuna action plans, which were introduced by MOF, Ministry of Environment and Forest in India. So which is to minimize or prevent the pollution of two main rivers, that is Ganga and Yamuna rivers. So what they have planned to build as many as the sewage treatment plants in the banks of these two rivers. That's called Ganga action plan. That is building of sewage treatment plants. Exactly, pair is right. Cyclosporin A which is used as clot buster. Cyclosporin A is used as immunosuppressant, not clot buster. Clot buster is streptokinase. Primary treatment on STP, activated sludge. No. Primary treatment includes filtration and sedimentation. Activated sludge, nothing but flocks, sedimentation, which occur in the secondary treatment. Swiss cheese, ripening by fungi. Ripening by fungi is actually in Roquefort cheese. It is related with Roquefort. Swiss cheese, Propionibacterium we can say. Ripening of fungi, that is one more type cheese, that is Roquefort cheese. Ripening by fungi. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ right pair ಯಾವ್ದಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Ganga action plan, building of sewage treatment plant is the right pair. Question number 23. Free living atmospheric nitrogen fixers are. We have options like Azotobacter, both Azospirillum Azotobacter, Azospirillum nitrococcus. See, nitrogen fixers, you have different types of nitrogen fixers. Free living and symbiotic. Symbiotic, you know that Rhizobium,